Hey there, everyone. Welcome to another episode. I'm your girl, Markeisha. This is Manifest with Markeisha, and I want to thank you for joining me today. This is a space where I challenge your mindset, push past your limitations, and speak words of encouragement to empower you. It really is my passion and privilege to help you elevate your self-concept, remove outdated beliefs, and step fully into the highest version of yourself. So, without further ado, today I want to share what came to me while I was on my meditative walk. I take these walks in the morning, and they're designed to help me reflect, release, and receive these very messages that I put out. Today, as I was walking, I noticed something, and it stopped me in my tracks. It was weeds. These very weeds that were growing up through the cracks of the concrete really had me stopping and staring. And it brought me back to a conversation I had with my daughter just last night. See, I bought her some flowers, and she had them on her dresser in her room. But she is the type of person who likes to keep her room very dark. And I went in there and I told her, I said, hey, if you don't take these flowers out of your room and get them some sun or open your window, they're going to die. And she said to me, Mom, it's crazy how weeds can grow through concrete, but these show flowers die under the lightest inconvenient conditions. And at that moment and when I was reflecting on that conversation, the Holy Spirit gave me this message. And I'm sharing it with anyone out there who is called to be great. This episode is called Built to Break Through Concrete. Let's dive into it. See, often the greatest ones, chosen ones rather, are rejected, misunderstood, disregarded, and even cast aside. They are the ones people try to pull out, pave over, and cover up. But like those weeds, we rise. I started thinking about my own life, about the rejection I faced from childhood, the adversities I had to overcome, the setbacks and the isolation, just to grow up and have to walk through further rejection and abandonment. There were so many moments where I cried out, trying to figure out why I had to walk this way, why I was being cut so deep, why I was left with so many cracks in me. But now I realize it was those very cracks that created the entry point for my resilience. Because just like those weeds, great ones don't need perfect conditions. We don't need the pristine soil, the perfect watering schedule, or even a spotlight to grow. No, we don't need any of that. We're built to survive, built to adapt, built to break through the concrete. I want to pause here for a second and ask you a question. The same question I asked myself while I was looking at these weeds. Why in the world is it that these weeds can push through concrete like this? I mean, these tiny little things that seem fragile if you look at them from the surface. I mean, think about it. For the most part, from what we can see with our eyes, they're built like flowers. They have stems and roots, leaves and, buds. But what makes them different? I mean, of course, I had to Google it a little bit because I wanted to see from a scientific standpoint, what is it in these weeds that make these things so powerful? But I'm putting them in my own words. So here we go. Some of the things that cause the weeds to be able to push through concrete are these. First and foremost, their roots are persistent. Weeds don't give up once they find a crack. They literally keep pressing until they break through. Another thing is that they don't require those pristine conditions that flowers do. They're able to adapt to poor soil, a lack of water, and harsh sunlight. And last but not the only reason is they multiply. You can cut them down, but one seed, one root fragment, one tiny remnant, and they'll come back even stronger than before. And let me tell you, this is really the part that separates those who will from those who won't. Because the ones who won't, when life subtracts from them, they shrink, they crumble, they give up. But the ones who will, when life subtracts from them, they multiply. So every loss becomes a lesson. Every rejection becomes redirection. And every setback becomes soil for the comeback. This point right here, this is really the key for anyone who is made to be great. When we're cut down, heaven uses the subtraction to create multiplication. And what looks like an end becomes the expansion. So in continuing with my train of thought, I had to reflect on those who broke through the concrete before me, before you, and who made the way for so many others. The ones who embodied this weed-like resilience. And several people came to mind. For those who read the Bible or attended a Sunday school lesson or two, you might know about Joseph. Joseph, he was rejected by his brothers, thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, falsely accused and locked into prison. He was counted out and literally forgotten. But at the appointed time, the Most High raised him up to sit at Pharaoh's right hand. And when famine hit the land, the very brothers who rejected him, his family who rejected him, not only got to see him rise, but they also needed his help. See, that's weeds breaking through the concrete for you. What about Harriet Tubman? She was enslaved, beaten, underestimated, and disregarded. The world said she was just a slave woman. Yet she broke through chains, through force, through darkness, just to free hundreds of other slaves. And even when her body was fragile, her spirit was literally unstoppable. Another one who rose from the concrete. Let's not forget Nelson Mandela. He was locked away in prison for 27 years. He was counted out and discarded as a threat. But the world later had to honor him as the president and a global voice for freedom. Another person who comes to mind, is because I like her story, is Oprah Winfrey. She was told earlier on that she wasn't even fit for TV. She was actually laughed at. So not only was she rejected, in her life story, she was abused earlier on. One door after another closed in her face, but she refused to give up. She refused to take no for an answer. And she broke through every barrier and now sits as one of the most influential voices in the world. See, each one of these lies tell us the same truth. It doesn't matter who counts you out, who dismisses you or disregards you. When you're built like that weed, you will break through any concrete. Here's the truth. Great ones are spiritual weeds in a rose-obsessed world. This world celebrates roses. The polished, the picture perfect, the ones bred for beauty and display. Roses are adored, but they're fragile. They demand those pristine conditions, the constant care, and the right environment to even survive. But weeds don't wait for approval. Weeds don't ask for permission. Weeds thrive. They thrive where they're not wanted. They take root in broken places. And that's what makes them so unstoppable. Look, the world may look at you and see something ordinary, something undesirable, something to even be plucked up and discarded. But the Most High designed you to be durable, not decorative. You weren't created to wither in perfect conditions. You were built to withstand imperfect ones. See, this is why the great ones, the Josephs, the Harriets, the Mandelas, the Oprahs, they looked like weeds to the world at first. They were overlooked, rejected, misunderstood. But in time, it was their resilience, that the world had to respect. So hear me clearly. Roses might win the admiration of man, but weeds inherit the endurance of the Most High. And if you've been overlooked, discarded, or underestimated, don't despise it. It's proof that you're one of the great ones, a spiritual weed in a rose-obsessed world. So you might ask, what does this mean for me practically? Well, here are 3 things to start with. First, don't despise your cracks. And when I say your cracks, I'm speaking about those places where life broke you wide open. Because it's those places, those very cracks, where your resilience is able to push through. Number 2, stop comparing yourself to roses. Yes, roses are beautiful, but they're fragile. You're strong, adaptable, and outlasting. And finally, number 3, honor your survival. You have to realize you made it through those things that others would have cracked underneath. They would have never survived. And you have to understand that's not luck. It's divine strategy. So here's the challenge for this week. I want you to reflect on one rejection or hardship that you felt that you should have been buried under. And then write down how it caused you to grow, how you broke from the concrete in that situation. And then I want to leave you with an affirmation. I want you to say to yourself, I am built to rise. I am built to endure. I am built to break through the concrete. I want to close with this. Don't ever, ever mistake your rejection for weakness. Just like weeds rise through cracks in the hardest ground, you were designed to rise through the hardest seasons. So as you walk this week, remember this truth. You are not fragile. You are not temporal. You are divinely built for resilience, and you are built to break through the concrete. I want to thank you guys for spending this time with me. If this message resonated with you, share it with someone who needs the reminder. And always, keep walking in alignment, keep elevating your mindset, and keep rising no matter what. Until next time.